This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Tonight, we're going to continue this amazing journey that we're on together, gaining a clearer understanding of our nation, how it's supposed to work, how it's structured. Our beautiful flag behind us is a great symbol of our unity together. Our seal here, presidential seal, is to remind us to pray for President Trump, his cabinet, their families, and just the nation thereof. I'm continuing to pray for the 265,900,000 Americans. That's a lot of Americans who are identified as living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet in 2024. There's a lot going on to help these people. This administration has discovered billions of dollars that were going in the wrong direction, and it was our money that was being used in these wrong directions. And so much opposition is going on, but this administration is plowing forward to bring accountability for we, the people. So are these 265,900,000 Americans out of the woods yet? Well, we've got a ways to go, I'm sure. But we're going to keep praying for them. Many are working 2 and 3 jobs. Many are just working hard to get ahead. So last year we determined that the country was going in the wrong direction, and people said, look, we want something different. And the more that comes out, the more people's like, yeah, we need something different. There was a poll that was done that said 27% of the Democratic Party had a favorable approval, had a approval rating of 27%. 27%. Wow. Okay, numbers are important, and so that says a lot about it. It's like, wait a minute, who, what, when, where, how, and why? What's going on here with these people? With this party, with this entity, with this direction, with this organization? A lot of people are asking questions, and a lot of people are getting answers. So we had an election. We, the people, spoke loud and clear on what's really important to us as Americans. And we said, you know what? We want to do something different. We're kind of tired of what's been going on, so we are moving forward. So tonight we're going to examine something that has generated a lot of discussion in our nation. Are we witnessing in our very presence, confronting defiance? Are we witnessing a defiance of authority? And can it be confronted? Defiance of authority. We're going to look at that. What is that about? What's the framework of that? And then there are definitely emotional, soulical dynamics that will go into that, where it gets confronted. Confronting defiance. Let's go all the way in. The Department of Homeland Security had to remove FEMA. FEMA stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. The Department of Homeland Security had to remove FEMA employees who defied the White House by spending millions of dollars on immigrants having housing. How will we know when someone is in defiance of orders that have been given? Now, here's another question. Does it even matter that directives and orders have been given? And does it matter that they are not upheld, that they are ignored? They are just like, we don't care. We're going to do what we've been doing. We're going to do what we want to do. Let's look at this closer. What does it mean to be defiant? Defiance means to resist, just to resist. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, is taking disciplinary action against Federal Emergency Management Agency officials, FEMA, who approve, you ready? Y'all probably heard of this, but we're going to dissect this thing because it's worth us looking at, that we have people running agencies that they go, well, look, we're going to approve the $59 million anyway. They took $59 million in migrant hotel payments and gave it to them despite an executive order from President Trump suspending such funding. Listen, we've talked about this on previous podcasts where you got to figure out what's going out, what's coming in, it was just out of control. So they sent that much money anyway. That's clear-cut defiance. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has confirmed that those involved, they're going to be dismissed for violating federal directives. Listen, these people in the past, they were doing what they wanted to do. Oh, yeah. Under the Biden-Harris cabal, they were doing what they wanted to do. So Elon Musk with DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, exposed the payments. They're just going line by line. Maxine Waters said, we don't know what they have on us. We're finding out, baby. We're finding out. They're going line by line. Oh, it's so much to be uncovered. What a mess. But it's going to get straightened out. This is why we got to pray for the president. We got to pray for the nation. We got to pray. We got to have order. We got to have order. We've been so out of order. It's been asinine. So DOGE is exposing what's been going on with this money, revealing that taxpayer funds were used, excuse me, to house immigrants in expensive hotels while our veterans were on the street trying to figure out how to eat, not having any place to stay. But illegal immigrants were in a luxury hotel. This is staggering as we consider this about our homeless veterans who've served our nation, who were living on the street in the cold of winter. Among the locations was the Roosevelt Hotel, a New York property owned by the the government of Pakistan, through international airlines. The disclosure sparked outrage over FEMA's spending practices. What had FEMA been doing for the previous 4 years, guys? What had they been doing? DHS spokesperson Trisha McLaughlin, she confirmed the decision, stating that any employee who approved unauthorized payments would be held responsible. Individuals who circumvented leadership and unilaterally made this payment will be fired and held accountable. Imagine that, accountability. The move underscores the administration's commitment to enforcing the president's directive. He's the executive branch. He gave a directive. It's supposed to be adhered to. Now, concerns over FEMA's financial management have been growing. The agency has been criticized for diverting resources toward migrant housing instead of disaster relief. And when that came up during the presidential campaign in 2024, they were saying that President Trump was lying. Well, it's come out that it was the truth. Reports indicate that while FEMA struggled to provide aid to Hurricane Helene victims, it continued to fund housing for illegal immigrants. Critics argue that the agency has prioritized immigration-related spending over its core mission. Federal records show that New York City recently received $81 million in funding for migrant-related expenses, with $19 million allocated to hotel accommodations. This is the power of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. You gotta know what's going out. You have to know what's coming in. We have to know what's going on with this money. The payments were made through FEMA's Shelter and Services Program, which reimburses cities for the cost associated with illegal immigration. Which I might add, I love saying this. Since January 21st, it has gone down. Illegal immigrants crossing our southern border has gone down 94%. And on the northern border, they got Canada has drones patrolling what's going on, and they have a border czar. That wasn't going on in 2024. I'm grateful. There's order in the house. There's accountability. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has indicated that reforms may be necessary to prevent similar misallocations in the future. Trump has also called for restructuring FEMA. You think it's warranted? Do we need some order? He stated that the agency has failed to manage funds efficiently. Absolute truth. Some lawmakers are pushing for state governments to take on more disaster relief responsibilities in an effort to curb federal mismanagement. This is what's going on with the Department of Education. A lot of people are bucking that, but it has been totally out of control. A message that is loud and clear is that if there is defiance, there needs to be accountability. You think? It appears that we have uncovered an undeniable pattern of defiance that has been par for the course in America. I would venture to say that we have been totally out of control. Is this good for our nation? If not, what effect can it have upon us as a country if defiance can adversely affect our nation? Here's the question. Should it be confronted? Should it be confronted? So, from a clinical perspective, remember we go from destruction to dignity. All this is destructive. Veterans on the street, not eating, sleeping on the street in the cold, while illegal immigrants are in a luxury hotel, and millions of dollars that went towards that effort anyway, although it had been ordered to be stopped. Totally out of control. So is intervention warranted? So that was a destructive, out of control pattern. We want to go from destruction to dignity. We need some dignity in our nation. Yeah, with we the people. Clinical perspective, spiritual truths. Listen, in terms of the spiritual truths on this, a house divided against itself cannot stand. God is a God of order. We have been totally out of order in so many ways. Thank God that these areas are being uncovered, that we can get some order in the house. So from a clinical perspective, we're going to examine some specific dynamics regarding confronting defiance. When someone undermines your authority by being outright defiant, is it the best action to address the issue directly and privately with the individual? Let's consider the dynamics of this. What would happen if it is clearly communicated how someone's behavior is impacting you or an organization or a team or the nation while remaining calm and professional? It's just like when President Trump did that State of the Union address. He just said, no matter what I do, the Democrat, he just said, I just loved it. He said, they'll always react like this. They'll just always react like this. No matter what I do, they're just already. What would happen if we try to understand the root cause of their actions and work towards a solution together. If the behavior persists, what would happen if consideration is given to involving a higher authority if necessary? What would happen if we incorporated key steps in these types of situations? So, what we're talking about is what would happen if we stay calm and composed, don't react emotionally, as it could escalate a situation. What would happen if we choose a private setting, have a one-on-one conversation with the person to discuss issues? Do you think he's brought some people in the White House and talked? Had some conversations? Oh, yeah. What would happen if we clearly explain the behavior with specifics, specifically pointing out the actions that are undermining someone's authority, and explain how they are affecting the team dynamics, the nation's dynamics, the dynamics of the organization? What are we doing here? What would happen if we listen to their perspective? What are you thinking? And I've been a supervisor, I've been a boss, and you're going to deal with situations because you're dealing with human beings. And I'll look at someone and say, listen, you got to tell me what you were thinking. What was going on in your mind? Talk to me. I want to support you if I can. There's certain things I can't get behind, but I need to know what were you thinking? Where were you coming from? And sometimes I hear a perspective and it's like, oh, I see where you got off track. Let's dissect that. I want them to walk away empowered. I want them to walk away being a cohesive part of the team process. A lot of powerful things. I've been on the verge of in my career, letting people go. Oh, yeah. And it turned out that it was a powerful interaction because I got in there and I dissected their soul, their mind, their will, their emotions, their intellect, their drive, and their desires. And it was like, wow, I saw where the breakdown was happening. And I saw the opportunity to empower them and to seize that moment. Their lives turned totally around. Oh, yeah, to God be the glory. So, and you know what happened there? I just listened to their perspective. Gave them a chance to explain their reasoning or their point of view. I saw the error thereof. I saw where they just needed to shift it just a little bit. Some of them went on to become some of the best employees ever. True story. What would happen if we set clear expectations, reinforcing our roles and responsibilities, and clearly state what you expect from them moving on? They doling out millions of dollars and they were told not to. Now, those situations, somebody got to go. Oh, yeah, they got to go. But they can be, those situations can be powerful examples of how we're not going to do things. That's not what we do here. What would happen if we focused on solutions, collaboratively working on a plan to address the issue and prevent it from happening again? What would happen if we follow up, monitor the situation, and address any future instances of undermining behavior? Listen, sometimes we're going to have to get higher authorities involved. I've been involved in that. And if you live long enough and work somewhere, you're going to see what is just going to happen. It happens in households. It happens on jobs for sure, in organizations. It definitely would happen at the level of authority that Donald Trump is working with in his cabinet. It definitely would happen. When do we need to involve a higher authority? When do we need to get somebody else involved? Here's considerations. If the behavior continues despite addressing it directly with the individual, they just, somebody said they are hell-bent on this part. Yeah, but it's wreaking havoc to the tune of millions of dollars. All kind of various and sundry of situations can just go amok with this type of thing. When else do we need to get somebody else involved, a higher authority? If the undermining behavior is impacting the team's productivity or morale significantly. If the individual is exhibiting serious misconduct or violating company policies, things escalate. Listen, things can get way out of control real quick. And organizations and companies have totally imploded, and it could have been avoided. All this mess we went through the last 4 years before Donald Trump became president, and some people just thinking that he's just wrecking the nation. No, he's straightening out a mess that he walked into. All this spending and reckless behavior going on illegal immigrants in here, taking over our country and taking over apartment complexes. They're going back to El Salvador. And you got a rogue judge trying to make it stop. No, you're not in charge, sir. The judges, the judicial branch of the government, is to interpret the laws according to the Constitution. I did a whole podcast on this illegal immigration. There's so many facets of that flow that have been totally violated by law. People should be in prison right now, up to 10 years. I need to go back and dissect that, because from the top all the way down to FEMA, violation after violation after violation, that there are laws already in place that our the legislation put in place, that there would be people in prison, arrested and put in prison based on what was going on. And it was just like, well, it was just ignored. So the legislators, they make the laws. They were ignored. The judicial interprets the laws. Ignored. The executive branch enforces the law. And that's what Trump is doing. And they are belly aching. They mad. They're mad. But you know what? There's a new sheriff in town, and we got to have order, guys. We got to have order. Order in the court. Order in the court. Yeah. So, there's a lot of serious misconduct that's been going on. And it's been defiant. So what have we looked at tonight? Defiance of authority. They've been defying his authority, the executive branch. And from a clinical perspective, we looked at confronting that defiance. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. And people are squibbling and squabbling and rebelling and pouring paint on people's cars, Tesla cars, like they don't have a right to have a car. And the Department of Justice is going after them. To God be the glory. Get them all. Get them all. We can't have that kind of chaos. That kind of stuff went on in the past, burning businesses to the ground. Although it was at least 10 people that lost their lives in 2020. I've heard of 2 of them where there was a follow-up of someone was held accountable. The rest of them haven't been. They just haven't been. That little girl, pretty little black girl in Georgia, I think it was, she was killed at Wendy's. She lost her life at Wendy's. There was accountability there. And that retired police captain, what was his name? David Dorn, I think that was his name. There was accountability there. The rest of them, there hasn't been any accountability. It's just like it just didn't happen. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So listen. We're going through some growing pains because we have been out of control. Defiance of authority. The authority, the previous 4 years, the authority was in defiance of the own laws that had been set up by Congress. But it's a new sheriff in town. And we're getting some order. We're going through some growing pains, some adjustment. But I am very proud of the fact that of the 20 promises that President Trump made, all of them have been addressed. And there are facets of different ones of them that have yet to be fleshed out. But boy, we're gonna be a different country, and we're going in the right direction. We got people that are investing billions of dollars, Japan and companies from Canada, and just on and on and on. And we're going to be dissecting these things as we go, because we're going somewhere. And it's expecting us when we get there. There's a lot getting ready to happen financially, and it's going to be beautiful. So listen, we're going to keep coming back. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you sharing. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this podcast. Last year, 1,200% growth. The only way that could happen was that it was downloaded on the podcast platforms. That blesses me beyond measure. Thank you so very much. Listen, there are people, we love America. America was a great experiment, and it seemed to work. And there are a lot of things that have challenged us, that entities and forces and spiritual warfare that does not want this to work. But we've got too many success stories to say that this can't work. So we're going to keep praying for our nation. We're going to keep coming back. We're going to provoke thought. We're going to bring awareness. And my goal is to point us towards intervention. And sometimes that intervention is praying. Sometimes it's talking about these things. It's talking about defiance. It's talking about all these dynamics that I come on here week after week after week to talk about. Listen, we are going somewhere. It's expecting us. So when we get there, we are going from destruction to dignity. Yeah, that's where we're going. Clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. Listen, I will see you next week. Thank you. God bless you. I love you. Yes, I do. I love my fellow Americans. And listen, I'm praying for you all. I pray for my audience. I pray for my social media audience. I pray for y'all every day. Yes, I do. And let's pray for each other, because we're going somewhere. It's expecting us when we get there, and it's a good place. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.